So thank you for having me here. It's not going to be painful audience participation, but it is going to be a bit of audience participation. Some of the stuff that we're going to cover off in the next half an hour or so, and I promise to be done in time or early, I promise, is I'll give you a brief introduction to Specialise, my team, and me, and then we'll go over these other things in the presentation, so similar to what everybody else has done so far. So people may not know a ton about Specialise, so who are we? We're a business that started 51 years ago. We're still owned by our founder, Mike. He sold his VW camper van 51 years ago and went on a holiday around Europe, mad keen cyclist, and found that all the really great quality bike parts that you can get in Europe were not so available in the US. So he went and got himself a meeting with some of the manufacturers of these great parts and started to import them into the US. The first product that he made for himself was a tire, and then from there on, we produced the first mass market mountain bike, the Stump Jumper. There are people in here who own one. Nice choice, sir. A proper classic. We took on the challenge of carbon. We sponsor multiple teams in the pro peloton. Our bikes won more stages than any other last year and the year before in the pro race circuit on the road. And we lead the industry in e-bikes. So earlier this year, we launched our Turbo Levo 4, which is our hero product for this year. So premium bikes, premium service. The picture there is Remco. So I don't know if you watched the Olympics in Paris, but he won the men's road race, and that's his Tarmac SL8. He had a pinch flat on the course, and there's no radios in the Olympics, so he had no idea how far the peloton were behind him. So there's this image of him going, oh my God, I've got a pinch flat. This is a total disaster. Am I going to lose gold? And he's waving the support car on. And when he rode down the Champs-Élysées and finished, though, you couldn't see the next rider. So he was so far ahead of the pack. But I think there was a shot of energy in the fear of, oh my God, I might lose my gold. But yeah, that was quite a moment, and it's a truly iconic photograph from our perspective. So yeah, that's the moment he crossed the line. Right, so that's Specialised. So who are Global Rider Care? So we do a number of different things across my organisation. So rider experience, sales and transformation. So we have teams who deliver service to riders and retailers. It's about a 50-50 split who we talk to. And we are really busy driving a revolution into the business. And I'm going to share a little bit more about that with you as we go on. So that mighty team of 3 people are super busy. And we're about, in 2 weeks, we launch a new centre in South Africa, and I'm genuinely worried about them because they are burning some hours at the moment. So Brandon, if you watch this, I love you and keep going. Knowledge management and quality, we're going to spend a bit of time talking about that really brave team of 3 people and the revolution that they're driving. We also have Specialised University who do a lot of our learning content. So that's how we train our team. It's how we train our retailers. It's how we help educate our riders as well. So lots of learning content that's produced across there. And then service operations, we produce physical products that need to be looked after in the real world. So we help retailers to understand how to do that, help riders understand how to do that, to keep the rider riding. So we talk about rider uptime quite a lot. So we want, like, if you worked in big tech, you'd be saying 5 nines reliability. Well, I want 7, 8, 9 nines reliability. I want you, every time you throw your leg over the bike, for the bike to work and for you to be able to do the thing that you want or need to do. And then I have a brave team of 1 person who does all of my data and insights. So we are a small but very mighty team. And we've been busy driving this revolution for a little while. So a little bit about me, and get ready for the audience participation in a minute. I've been here for 3 years at Specialised. Before that, I was at Microsoft. Before that, at Teleperformance, lots of different places. Way back when, just after they'd invented the telephone and electricity, I started frontline in the contact centre, and I've loved being close to that environment ever since then. So I love the role that I do, and I don't know if you can tell, but I love the organisation that I do it for. We do the coolest stuff, and I'm just in awe of it. So I was riding through California on a pedal bike, push bike, acoustic. Some people call them acoustic bikes. That sounds quite good. And our founder, who is in his mid-70s, just breezed past me while we were going up this big hill. He was, to be fair, on an e-bike, and he was whistling while he did it. So I had to find my lungs, which I'd left somewhere down the hill, and tell him off. And so he slowed down, and he put his hand on my back, and he said, "Andrew, do you want to push?" And I was like, okay, kill me now. So yeah, I love what we do, and I love how we do it, and I like that attitude that we've got to life. So yeah, that's me. And then beyond work. So I love being outdoors. Live for that, really. I'm most often found riding my bike around Wiltshire, Dorset, and Somerset because it helps right-size my brain. I read a lot of books. I play the guitar really badly. And then I live with my wife, my son, 2 dogs, and 2 ant colonies, because my little boy is mad about ants. So I said that I would say hello to my son, because this is being recorded. So I thought, I'm going to say hello to him, and then you can all say hello to Sam. So, because it will just make his day and blow his mind when I show him the video. So, hello, Sam, and then if I count down from 3, can you all shout hello, Sam, as well? Because it's just going to make his day. Would that be all right? 3, 2, 1. Hello, Sam. Nice. Right. Onwards. Right. So why the change? We were in a mess. So we had an old, out of date, out of support, no data series of platforms. We had 13 different knowledge bases that were in flight across the business. And we were only 50. It's ridiculous. So we had a problem, and then they went out of support. And because they were out of support, if they fell over, we weren't going to be able to get them back. And so this was actually a relatively easy sell into the board to say, if that falls over, it's 8,000 more contacts a week coming into frontline, and we will just die. And so they were like, whew, we should fix that. So off we went. We did our RFP. Come on to that in just a second. The other things that we were looking for was it had to play nice. So it had to be interoperable and seamless to connect to the different systems that we had in place. What we didn't need to do was create more confusion and more soup of technology. We wanted something that would drop into place and play nicely with the other things that we've got. Had to enable content for riders, which is public-facing content, retailers, which is our trusted retail partners, who need to know a little bit more, and then we had to have colleague. Colleague's quite a broad definition, and there are different categories of colleague that we have within us. So much like you guys using templates and saying which bit of content can go to what audience, we're busy doing the same thing. And that's really important to us because we have to look after our IP just like everybody else out there. So it has to go to the right audience at the right time. So we wanted a tool that could help us to do that. It had to be affordable. I wanted to put this in because I thought we all live in the real world. So I needed a platform that was affordable, and I needed one that would scale with us. We're not going to shrink, we're going to grow. And I want to grow knowledge quicker. So I don't need to be shackled by a payment mechanism which is going to hinder that or get in the way or cause me finance problems later on. And then finally, it had to be premium. Had to be premium to match our brand. So, yep, that's where we were at with that. So why eGain? Simple to connect. So the out-of-the-box connections that we've got, and we'll show you our out-of-box connection to Salesforce as we go through this, enable us to plug in to the various elements of the stack. It's not no dev, but it's low dev or coding rather than development. And it's configuration rather than development, which makes it far easier for us to do that. Content creation is super intuitive in the portal, and it's intuitive for pros and semi-pros alike. So we have our experts in the various teams create some of the content, and I don't want to have to train them on a new platform that's really hard to use. I just want to be able to plug them in, let them go, and then we edit. Lifecycle management became really important for us as well. We couldn't before see what was happening to our content. And we had no feedback loop that was around it either, so we needed to be able to do those things. Data and insight, I like to keep Josh, my one data guy, super busy. So we need to know the benefit of it. So we need to be able to tie an increase in self-service and knowledge searches to a decrease in contacts coming through to our front line. We need to be able to prove the case. Reputation and references. So like others, we were blown away by the live demos. And then I did what all of you do as well. So I asked all my friends, and all my friends in various other roles and businesses said, yeah, they're pretty cool. And they do what they say they're going to do. And it had to enable growth. It had to be aligned to our future interests. So that's why we selected eGain. And we're not sorry. I said we were a bit broken. We were a bit broken. So I'm going to walk over here because I'm a bit nervous and I need to move. This is simplified, and it is really simplified, diagram for how we created all the knowledge content that landed the SL8 that you saw Remco with on winning the Olympics road race. So the colorways work the same. So all those orange things are the different tools that we've got in place. And it just shows really that we're disconnected, we're siloed. Knowledge starts in some teams and never makes it to every other team that needs to know it. It was just a right mess. We needed to do something. So I reckon our technology had devolved over time. It was complex, time-consuming, all those other things. So that bit on there that says, thank goodness it all fell apart was never waste a good crisis. This was a great crisis. This was awesome. This enabled us to not just think about putting some sticking plasters on crappy old systems, but to just leapfrog and get to where we knew we wanted to be. So never waste a good crisis. If you're sitting on a big pile of a mess, think about how you can turn that to your advantage. So where are we now? Really simplified. So all those tools have started to evaporate, and we're creating content in one platform. The number of touch points that run across for our riders, retailers, and colleagues still looks like 3. It's 1. It's just surfaced in 3 different places. So it's the knowledge management tool in eGain. And we've managed to condense a whole bunch of mess down to something that is scalable, intuitive to use, and is delivering really great results for us. And people have said it already, but that feedback loop's really important. What content's being viewed? Is it useful? Does it help? Help us improve it. Is it right? Is it wrong? What can we do as we go forward? So much, much improved in a very short space of time. So how did we get there? I hired some great people, and for the rest of this presentation, I'm going to call them all Bob so that none of you can steal them. That's very important to me. And one of the Bobs, who leads the knowledge team, we'll call her Bob A, said, we should have one of these, which is a content maturity model. And I said, that sounds like a really, really good idea. We didn't invent that. We took that from Lullabot, and we said, that's the one that makes the most sense for us, because it gives you a, where am I now, and what do I have to do to make it better? So I'll share with you where we were, which was poor. But that's the whole point of doing this, is you get a snapshot for where you are, some science behind why you're there, and a roadmap to help you move along and move up. So I'd recommend doing that. So where were we? We were a solid 1.5. Woo! Never waste a good crisis. We were a 1.5 out of 4. As we jumped on board to eGain, we moved up to a 2 because we were able to tick more of those boxes and talk about, well, now we've got a process around it, now we've got feedback loop, now we've got one consolidated system. We're maturing, we're growing, we're improving. That's good. And then we're going to be moving through that. By the end of this year, we want to take ourselves to a 3, and we've got a plan that I'll share with you in just a minute to help us to do that. And then how do we move on to a 3.5 or better? So that's the roadmap from a knowledge perspective that we've got there. And you can see some of the opportunities that we grabbed there from the platform to help us to get it. Processes and workflows, really important, I think, for us. And again, people have talked about that a little bit. And templates and governance. That's how we're going to secure the process, secure the content, and enable ourselves to move forward. And insights and reporting, just super critical. Not something we're always brilliant at Specialized, but I would say it's the future. So more data questions now than I've ever had before, really, which is a good place to be, because actually we can answer them. So we went through this whole deployment journey, and we learned some lessons. We didn't get it all right. I think we got a lot of it right. In fact, I would say we got most of it right. But we definitely took some learning as we were going through this. And I think that brings me on to something that I hold really dear. So there's this concept of a growth mindset. I don't have to know it all, but I've got to be curious to find it out. And failure isn't a problem, it's a step towards mastery. So if you take that mindset when you're going through something that's complicated and hard, it makes it easier and better to get to where you want to be. Taxonomy. Number of people have mentioned taxonomy. Getting your taxonomy right is super important. So if you're about to change your platform, invest time there. Can't stress that enough. The devil's in the detail. People probably aren't going to write epic poems about taxonomy. It's probably not in the future of that topic. But you'll be really sorry if you don't do it, and you'll be happy if you do. Content priorities. We had a lot, and so we had to focus on a small number of things and polish them and get them right. The principle there was you don't get a second chance to make a first impression, so we wanted to land like a cat. And we wanted people to look at it and think, my God, this is good and it's right, rather than, oh, hang on, I asked it a question and it gave me the wrong information. So we were really focused on that. We did a ton of user testing, and we kept the human in the loop. So human in the loop has been talked about quite a lot as we've gone through this. So as we've used AI, we've had our experts verify that the AI was right, which is great because it's trained the AI, it's driven confidence within key stakeholders who now are a positive voice about this whole process, and it's driving belief in the system and the process. So doing that thing pays you back in more ways than one, is what I would say. So these two are linked, and I'm really keen to have a not-to-do list. Lots of people, we've all got to-do lists, but we've got a not-to-do list. So all the cool stuff that we could do, but we haven't got the time because we're not a very big team and we're working in a fast-paced, changing environment. So we've got we're going to get to that, but we're not going to put it on our list of things to do now, because if we put it on our list of things to do now, we're going to feel like we're not making progress and we're not achieving great results. So do fewer things, do them really well, keep your not-to-do list, would be the other thing that I would recommend. So some of the outcomes. There's some really good numbers that sit in here. One of them is the search improvement, SEO, using the AI and the language verification and improvements and enhancements that the tool recommends, lifted our SEO by 85%, which is massive for us. So that's translated into a significant drop in our inbound contact volume from riders and from retailers, which is really important. So I think we're about 15% down on our contact volume year over year, and in a highly seasonal business, in the middle of peak in our biggest markets, that's the difference, frankly, between life and death across our frontline teams. So super cool. So that's the case deflection point that sits underneath it. The AI-based analytics means that we're making decisions with data, and I said before that we haven't always been brilliant with data, but now we are, because we're unlocking more information, which means that we're not doing something because our hearts tell us it feels like it's the right thing to do, or we're guessing with our brain. We're making decisions because the data's telling us that that's the next richest vein for us to go and mine. And that's how you keep making progress. And that's how you keep your stakeholders happier over time. Was here, now it's here, and on to the next thing. So we're building that belief and trust within the business and within our stakeholders. The AI-based diagnostic guides, our products can get super complicated really fast. Even an acoustic bike, so where you've got a frame, pedals, drive chain, brakes, that's kind of it, is still really complicated. But throw into the mix an e-bike where you've got a TCU, you've got a motor, you've got a battery, you've got all the cables that connect all those things, you've got the app connections to make that thing work. gets really complicated really, really, really fast. So focusing on our turbo bikes and driving some real health into that makes a big difference within our performance. And then that final point is that we embedded it into Salesforce. I didn't want the agent to have to come out of the CRM to get help, and I wanted the help to be promoted to them based on what the rider is talking to them about. So that seamless integration was really important, and that's what it looks like. So you can see that we've got an eGain tab that sits there. It's reading what's going on, and it's promoting the content to the agent so that they can understand what it is they've got to do next. So what's this inquiry about? These are the knowledge content articles that we think are the most important for you, and you can access them with a quick summary of what they're all about. So again, ease. It's about how do you keep the person where they are and enable them to focus on a conversation rather than driving the system to find the answer to enable the conversation. So you put it all in the same place, you enable the agent to talk to the rider and the retailer and get the information really simply. The conversation feels more normal and natural. Oh, this is my block. So this is our 3-year plan. You're not allowed to see this bit, so you can only see this bit. This bit is our roadmap in 3 years for disrupting the entire market. So that's the glorious revolution right there. I'm going to put it that way so that no one can take any pictures of it. I'd be devastated if Trek found that. That would be the end of my life. I wouldn't sleep. Well, I wouldn't sleep even more than I don't now. Right, so we went through a process saying that we fast forwarded in time in our magic time machine, me and my director, and we said, in 3 years, we're going to be on a stage like this, wearing a snappy suit. Some of them have hair done, accepting an award, and we were going to do our acceptance speech. Here's all the things that we did. Here's how we revolutionized the experience. Here's what it meant for our riders and retailers and colleagues. And really importantly, here are all the people that we want to thank within Specialized for getting us to where we were. So we took those, and then we turned those into a really long list. 46 different ideas that came up as we went through that. And then we refined that, we halved it, and then we got it down to 12. So on the back of here are 12 things that we're going to do. So that not to-do list, focus on a few things, get them done, really polish them. That was the journey that we were on. So we've got 12 things that we will do over the next 2.5 years. Knowledge fits into the second one. So that looks really vanilla, doesn't it? But underneath that is this. So Bob, who leads the team of other Bobs in our knowledge management world, applied this. This is our work back plan. So where are we? Where are we going to be? How are we going to do that? And that just says Bob. It doesn't really say anybody's name. So into that framework, Bob sat down with the other Bobs in the knowledge management team and created a plan. So this is our knowledge vision statement for the next 3 years. Underneath this is a whole series of actions. Those actions have owners, those actions have dates, they're prioritized. We're not doing it all in 1 year, we're doing it in 3. So we know what we're going to do. We can talk about the success that we have along the way to maintain the energy, to maintain the positivity, and to maintain the belief. And that is the knowledge revolution in Specialized over the next 3 years. That final point here is because my boss, who's the chief exec, is he's brilliant actually, and he's way more data-driven than anybody else. And I remember in my first week in the company, he said, "Oh, Andrew, how many times do we talk to riders and retailers a year?" And I was like, "That's a brilliant question, and you'd think I'd have the answer, wouldn't you?" He just looked at me like, "What are you talking about? How don't we know that?" Well, because we've got 8 different telephony systems, some of which include mobile. We've got multiple different CRMs, and we've got no real unified way of understanding what all of that is. So now we just have 3 telephony systems. We only have 1 CRM. And we've gone from 13 different knowledge bases to 1 knowledge base. So I can now tell you how many contacts we get. I can tell you what the resolution rate is by contact type. I can tell you what the CSAT is. And I can tell you what the NPS is. So we've done that in 2 years. I reckon we can do this in 3, maybe 2. So yeah, that's the high level statement. And then this right here is the plan. So unified content strategy is a really big deal. So different content creating teams across specialized. They don't all sit in my world. I don't want them to sit in my world. Really happy for a product specialist to sit in the product team, develop the product and create the content that enables everybody else to understand the magic that they've just created. I don't want to go and learn that magic from them. That's a waste of time and energy in the machine. I just want to be able to edit the content, make sure it fits in the template, make sure that the templates are working, and then make sure they get the feedback to improve it and hone it over time. So getting everybody on the same page with that is really important. Our next big step there is manuals. So with every bike, my team create all the manuals that go out with all of our products. We're going to digitize them rather than printing everything. And we're going to take that digital content and we're going to load it all into eGain. So it will be there as snackable content. Rather than at the moment, you can still get to a manual online, but it's a PDF. So you can do a word search in a PDF, but that's pretty crappy. So we want to deploy the tool to our advantage and take that digital content and move it on. The integration to Salesforce is done. And you can see here what Bob did, because Bob's a genius, is they tied it back to our maturity model. So that moves us from emerging into connected and then through connected. So there's a number of different things actually in this column. So unify the experiences with system integrations. That's linking to the app, linking to the .com site, which is all done, linking to Salesforce, which is done. But next up, we've got to link it to our product teams and our product databases. And so that's the next step in that journey, refining the process, and launching translation integration. That will happen on the 12th of July. But eGain helped us. So did I mention that we launched this new bike? We launched our Levo 4. It's incredible. So if you like mountain biking, have a look at the Levo 4. It's a beast. Through the eGain platform, we translated all of our marketing content into every language for every market. And in previous launches, that had taken us up to 3 months as a business to catch up. On day of launch, every market had localized content for our hero bike for the year. So it's game-changing. So as we launch our translation, our enterprise translation solution, that will link into eGain as well, which will put the content in the rider's language or the retailer's language, which is obviously really cool. And then the onward journey through 2026. And that is what I have for you today. So hopefully it's been useful. I've tried to be really honest. We've learned a lot. I've got a killer team who are just incredible, and I'm here representing their work effectively. So I'm super proud of them. I think the impact that they're having is incredible. And if I come back in a couple of years, I'll turn this over and I'll tell you about the revolution that we've driven across the whole of the business. Without telling you how we did it, we just launched something and our NPS jumped from 72 to 89. So the revolution's coming. This is the team that can deliver it. I couldn't be prouder of them. Yeah, lots to do. So thank you for your time.